kind of off the cuff here, if you will. Hi. It's been like what, a year and a half? Oh my gosh. So forgive me for the audio. We're going to be working on that. Riverside is being a little hard to deal with. I've never had to deal with them before, so that's like a podcast recording platform. So I apologize for the sound. However, I'm about to hop on a ordering appointment in the next hour or so. So I am gonna just chat with you for a little bit, hop off here, chat with you for a little bit longer. So just to kind of, this year has been insane. And if you're just now tuning in, it's 2025. It's December 3rd. I am here. I've been going back and forth on this podcast, honestly, because it's just like I am so tired of the demands of like algorithm and Facebook and like these billionaires having control over how I distribute content and how frequently I need to create content. And that's really what drove me away to begin with. They don't get to make the rules anymore. So if you are here listening still, thank you. I know we have over how many episodes? Like over 80 some. So that's really cool. But I had been talking about wanting to bring this podcast back. I wanted to bring it back. I didn't want to bring it back. I just wanted to create content for new and aspiring female boudoir photographers. And if, this is something that you're obviously interested in, you can still stick around. So there's so many things running through my head right now that's just like, oh my gosh, I want to catch up. I want to tell you where I'm coming from. I want to have this as a place. Yeah, we're not talking about boudoir today, but this is more like a welcome back episode. And I'm so glad that you guys have stuck around, for those of you who have, and welcome any newbies that have joined in. So anyway, like I was saying, I was toying with the idea of bringing it back, and you know how hard we are on ourselves. So let me just turn off my speaker really quick. When it comes to creating and it comes to distributing content, like we have to show up all the freaking time just so what? Nobody can see our stuff. And I feel like I have just broken my back just creating social media content on things that are falling upon deaf ears. So then why am I back? Well, I want to do it differently. I want to offer something that isn't like anything else anyone else is doing. I want to hear from you guys. So this is more of a collaborative podcast, if you will, and it will blossom into other things later on. So because here's the thing too, and I've talked about this before, where it's like no one wants to share the hard stuff, and if they do, it's like this super privileged version of their version of trauma. And that might be a little unfair for me to say, because I have experienced some form of that, but not to the state of like, I don't even know where I'm going with this, honestly. But I feel like people try to find things to be vulnerable about without it being too vulnerable. Like an ADHD diagnosis, like, okay, whatever, like everyone has that, no big deal. I have that, okay. But like, I feel like there needs to be more room for life to come in when it comes to entrepreneurship, because I know for me, my business has pushed me beyond what I could ever imagine. It's made me a better person. It's made me have to level up and be uncomfortable doing things for my business and for me to be able to perform at the capacity I want to perform. And having phone conversations, talking to people about their boudoir shoot, what are the things they're wearing, and some of these people are very vulnerable with you, and you're not a therapist, you're not a licensed clinician, you're not someone who signed up for some of the information that you receive. as a service provider. And it can be very hard to take home and sit with when you're also trying to work through, you know, your pricing or your website and wondering if you're good enough to even be a photographer. Because, I mean, we all go through that. There's a huge, one of my dear friends is going through this right now. And you'll hear more about from her later, not in this episode, but further on down the line, where all of these feelings come up, like these fraudy feelings of like, who am I to be able to photograph people for a living, to be able to accept money for the services I'm providing. I do this for free, you know? But being able to like parent yourself in that realm of like, no, actually, like you can do this and you should be charging people for what you're worth. Anyway, I digress. My timer just went off and I'll dive more into that later. I have to get ready for my ordering appointment, so I'll be right back. Hi, I'm back. Okay, so when my alarm on my phone went off, how many of you checked your phone? Whenever I see that in a movie or hear it in a movie or hear it on a podcast or hear it in a meeting, I mean, it gets me every time, right? I wanted to touch on a couple of things that I mentioned in the previous little talk I did, the previous clip. And I was talking about people having privilege and trying to find things to be more vulnerable to people about, which I understand the value in that. Don't get me wrong. But to try to find something for the sake of connecting with people, I feel like there's more things going on in this world that you can connect with other than like the things that are your issues. And so I had mentioned also doing life-giving things, and I needed to reiterate what that means because I don't know if a lot of people fully understand what that is. So when I say life-giving, it could be life-giving or life-taking away, and I'm diving deep into energy work. Call it what you will. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably know by now how woo-woo I am. And guess what, honey? We just got a little bit more woo-woo here. And there's science-backed, energetic things that are happening in this world that are becoming less woo-woo and more scientific-based, like mindset. But anyway, I digress. Life-giving meaning like giving you energy, like giving like things that you're doing or being around people that like really, really light you up, that make you excited and inspired and make you motivated to like either do whatever set act of like, oh yeah, I want to go be a boudoir photographer. Let me inspire you. Or, whatever that looks like for you, because everyone's different. Some people are looking to boudoir photography as like a second revenue stream. And so maybe it's not as life-giving, but maybe life-taking away. And that's also found in people and places and things too. And to just really pay attention to that because, I have talked about this on previous episodes not episodes, but other podcasts about how I was so booked and I was booked out and just like wanting to work constantly that I burned myself out. And I talk about that on the Portrait System podcast and a little bit on this animal podcast that I was a part of for my equine work. But I feel like this year, because this was the big year, I started to come back in my photography business. I took a year off and I am coming back around. I started back up in October of last year, 2024. Did I really take that much time? Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. So I was off from like November 2023 all the way up till 2024. Yeah, that's about right. Anyway, I needed to do something with my hands and just kind of like stop and like look at the whole bigger picture of like what it is I wanted to do. Photography is more than just a creative outlet. And I think it's so much fun to like, obviously, like go and shoot something for fun just for yourself. and you should 1000% do that. However, I do not seek inspiration in photography. I seek my inspiration through other outlets of creativity, like this podcast, for instance, painting, doing things with my hands. And then it's like, okay, now I can translate. This is like the texture that I'm inspired by. Now I want to go and do it and make it into a photograph with like a really beautiful woman. So it's more of like a weird process for me. um, so anyway, yeah, coming back to, I hope that all made sense. If not, like at any time, feel free to send me an email. It's bb@bbquinnphotography.com. You're also welcome to visit my section on my website for photographers, which is the same website. It could be bethanyquinnstudios.com/for photographers. But anyway, and there's some offerings there too, a little bit of a freebie for you on posing, just letting you know. I'll also include the link in the show notes, and this will probably be on YouTube too, so I'll include that down in the description. Anyway, going back to just the like reflecting on this time off, it's really showed me there's been a lot of loss. There's been a lot of, not business wise, personal life. We had to say goodbye to our dog Coda back in July of this year on the 14th. And then my grandfather recently passed away on November 16th. So this has been a very difficult year, learning what we had to learn and saying goodbye. And like, I was looking up the astrology of the year. I need to look into this because I am, let's see, I have it right here on my computer. So let's see, because this year is the year of the snake. After explaining to one of my friends at a clinic that like, it's in the Chinese zodiac. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I was right about this, instead of giving you false information. Anyway, I was talking to a friend because after my grandfather's funeral, I did a 2-day Liberty clinic with my horse. This was like our first. Oh yeah, by the way, I got a horse. I don't know if you knew that, but there's some really cool insights into that whole world too. But I was talking to one of my friends who was attending the clinic with me, and she was just like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. This year has been so rough for you." And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, this year is the year of the snake." And I'm looking up for anyone else that has experienced this shit show of a year. It is in the Chinese zodiac, and it was talking about, I saw like a little like infographic on what it means. Let's see, this is mostly talking about, where is this? But it was talking about a lot of, oh my gosh, there's so many YouTube videos on this. Oh, and celebs that were born in the year of the snake. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm trying to find infographic. Hopefully it will come up. My friend sent it to me, and it was talking about embracing change, shedding of skin, okay, letting things go that I hate to say that this is like that need to go, because they don't need to go. It's just things you're holding on to that aren't really working out anymore. It says Kundalini awakening, renewal and rebirth, obviously an energy shift. Yeah, this year was very depressing. I didn't even travel this year because I was worried about my dog, because we got his diagnosis. He had bone cancer. He was a greyhound. He had bone cancer. We found out March 1st, and then we had to say goodbye to him in July. And so just like I wanted to spend every waking moment with him, I cut back on shoots, and I only shot like 1 week every month. So I would just book all my shoots in 1 week so I could just hurry up and get them done. And then I would do the reveal appointments 1 to 2 weeks later virtually, because I just wanted to make sure he was okay, out of pain. And, those, you know how it is when you lose a pet, or you're nursing a sick pet or even a sick child. It's really hard because you're going through all the emotions behind it too. And you were waking up at night because he would cry in the middle of the night because he was either not feeling well, or just wanting company because he couldn't come back into our bedroom. But anyway, it's been a really crazy year. So to see that these things are like hidden mysteries, embracing change, energy shift, creation energy. Didn't really feel all that creative this past year, but I just like did a lot of horse sessions this year, and I felt like this year was more of like, let's go through all the hard stuff so that you can come out triumphant on the other side. Still waiting on that triumphant piece, but I'm optimistic. Rock bottom is kind of what I'm thinking here too. But there are good things to come because we just went through this big period of like awful muck. And so next year is Year of the Horse, which is, let me see. Anyway, I didn't mean to make this all about this episode. Horse. Let's see. Which is also like a lot of forward moving momentum, leveling up. I feel like everyone levels up every year. Maybe not everyone, but things are taking off, lift off, so to speak. So, but despite all of the sadness and the muck that we went through, there was a lot of cool conversations of like what I wanted my life to look like with my partner. Because as you know, once we did have to say goodbye to both those amazing like beings in our lives, it made me realize like, you know what, life is short. Buy the horse. I don't care anymore. Like, quit being afraid. You're going to learn as you go. Because if I don't do it now, I won't ever do it. So I did end up purchasing my dream horse this year. Her name is Sedona, and she is just a little darling mare that I absolutely love. We're learning so much about each other, and it's like I just want her to like me so much, because I feel like there's this, in the world of animal purchasing, like they never have a say in it, and so there's also this like, oh, I feel kind of gross about this, or it's just all these books I've been reading on like domestication trauma and everything else are just starting to like nag at me in the back of my mind. But it's also like I'm learning how to like go about the horse world differently than what I had before, with the information I know and the information that I'm still receiving. I feel like I'm always a student in this. But what's cool is she's like, whatever I'm learning and experiencing in my own life, she mirrors that. So, when she first came to our barn, there's like over 40 horses there, and she got let out into pasture with like I'd say about 13 other mares. And so she was really excited to like run out there and be like, "Oh my gosh, hi, hello!" And then they're like, "Get back, know your role." And so she's like, "Okay, I'll just step back. I'm okay. I'll just be over here. No big deal. If you guys need me, I'm right here. No big deal." And so there was a situation where she was, the lower ranking mare in her herd, and she goes out into a lot during the day just to eat grain and then to also consume as much forage as she can, because the grass hasn't been so great between October and now, for obvious reasons. So she was in a lot with these two older mares, and one of them was more dominant than the other, and she just kind of like pushes her around the pen and everything. And when this mare moves, like she moves and the other mare moves. So I had an issue with a client, and I'll probably get into this with another episode. But sometimes you can't please everybody. And that is also something I've learned in the Year of the Snake, is that you can give your 110%, and you'll still have clients that aren't happy. And I experienced this with one of my horse clients, and I couldn't do, there was nothing else I could do for her because this is also something that was on her. And in that process, it was like, these are my limitations. I can't do anything else. And then she'd keep coming back and coming back and coming back with things that were like, no, you can't, like roadblock, roadblock, roadblock. Like, we can't do that. And then they contacted my album company, and they were trying to bully their way into getting what they wanted. And this was all on them. And like I said, I'll explain the details in another episode probably, because I felt like it was a really good learning curve or a learning experience. So, anyway, once I stood up to that client, I was like, we will not be bullied anymore. I don't do business with people who are bullies. These are your two options. Take them or leave them. But I need to hear back from you from this date and time with one of these decisions, or else we're going to reprint the album and the cover that you didn't want. Which, once again, sounds really awful. Anyway, welcome to being a horse and boudoir photographer. But because I stood up for myself, I went out to the barn the next day, and she's in the lot with those same mares, but she's the one that is moving them around. She's the one that's like, actually, I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm not going to let you come over here to me, and I'm going to stay over here and I'm going to eat all my hay, and you're not going to eat any of my hay. And I was just like, that's interesting. But I think animals mirror their people all the time. But we're less than 2 months in, and she's like, here we are. Okay, switching gears a little bit. Something I want to do every episode, if not every other episode, is pull a tarot card, because this is something that I've been playing with since 2017, probably this was way before. I can't remember. I started my business in 2013. Implemented this in 2017, and I feel like it helps settle my anxiety around and gives me a direction as to like how I should perceive things. So I drew a card earlier from the Gentle Tarot deck. It's one of my favorite tarot decks. The artwork is really beautiful. If you're interested in seeing that, if you like tarot cards, let me see, is my audio still working? Okay. Then I can include that in the show notes if you want it to be. Anyway, the card that I drew was the Lover's card, and it is not as it's not as upfront as what you would think it is. So I pulled this before, like right after I hopped off after the last chat I did with you. Obviously you have missed a bunch of time because of the gap in that. Anyway, so I pulled the Lover's card. It has this two beautiful butterflies sitting on Queen Anne's lace, and it signifies primarily choices, relationships, and alignment. I usually just stick to the upright meaning of these cards. So if you guys need that message today, take it with it as you will. Take what you want from it. But upright, if I have a couple of different versions, so if it was pulled upright or pulled reversed, then I can do the reversal too. But it was pulled out upright, and it represents making important decisions that align with your values. Mostly in a relationship context. It could be partnership. Maybe it could even be a family member. It doesn't always have to be a romantic partner or a romantic partnership. But also in career and in finances. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And maybe we'll do some more cards in the future. With more of like a reading and storytelling mode behind that. So anyway, Yeah. Oh, another interesting thing that happened this year was I had to get my gallbladder out. Yay. That was earth shattering too. Speaking of things you don't need, I guess. Um, but that was something where I had, the procedure. Well, I just did like a whole week's worth of shooting, and then my symptoms came that following week. And then it had been worked out to where it was like, okay, I cannot leave. I have to be on these pain meds because I can't function. And because I'm on pain meds, I cannot drive myself to do my shoes. I can't do any shoe. It might be pretty interesting, some of the stuff I might get, but I wouldn't be able to do anything. So I had to reschedule a whole week's worth of shoots. Two of them I have to reschedule for the spring because their horses weren't, one of them wasn't going to be there, like close by, and then the other one had to reschedule for spring. But I mean, these things just happen, and people will also just take that advantage of like pushing some things back. But we never know for sure unless, they are blatantly honest with us. But anyway, I had to, it was a good exercise in patience too, because I had to reschedule my other, like the following month's sessions. So, and then the healing process behind all that was really interesting too. And that was the week that I got Sedona. So that was fun. I couldn't really hang out with her for long because it was like other people are handing her off to me and vice. Anyway, but that was also an interesting thing to navigate because here I book out 3 months in advance, and I have been booking for like 1 week out of the month and at specific times, judging on the sunset, like when the sun sets, which is a whole other layer of like craziness. So, but boudoir, you don't have to do that unless you're shooting outside, which is also very fun to do. But yeah, I think that's really all. Just like there's just been like a really emotional year. And, one of the last things that my grandfather said to me, he told me to share my gifts. And by that, he saw me as being a very artistic member of the family. He was saying that, like, not a lot of people have that. Not a lot of people are photographers or can create at the level that I can create. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. That was a very beautiful statement. But I took it to heart. And this is another reason why I wanted to bring this podcast back, is because I do want to share my gifts with people. I want to show people that they too can create an amazing career for themselves from photography, regardless of what's going on in the world right now. And I mean, it's rough out there. But as long as you stay informed and you stick to what is authentically, and I'm speaking to you out here, if you stick to what feels authentic to you, then you're going to be just fine. The thing is like, you can jump from mentorship to mentorship to mentorship, however you want. And if I don't know how many mentors I've had in the past where they've like had me do something or want me to do something, and I was like, no, that doesn't feel like something that's in alignment with where I want to take my business. So just getting really clear on what it is that you want, what you want your photography business to look like, that's your starting ground, because then that can be your compass as to, okay, this next thing that I want to do, how do I tie it into what it is that I'm offering? So those are some things you can do. Also, I'm a huge fan of journaling. And so just getting all my thoughts down on paper, and just, even if it doesn't even make sense, it's just like clearing the cobwebs out of your brain so that the next thing can come in. Okay, so I think I've rambled on a lot here. If you guys have any questions, I would love to hear from you guys on like, what are some of the biggest struggles you're dealing with in your photography business right now, whether you shoot boudoir or not. Because I mean, portrait wise, this world is very similar when it comes, it's just like the different offerings and how you market it that make it different. Um, so I want to hear that, and what I can do is create an episode around it. Um, but yeah, thanks for having me back, and thanks for sticking around. Um, I'm really excited to see where we go together.